Bethany, thank you so much for being with us. Certainly a sad day, but also a celebration, obviously, of who Rosalynn Carter was. Just talk about the arc of her life, because she came from very humble beginnings and, wound up being a first lady who truly had a positive impact on her country.
Oh, yes, she did. So Rosalynn Carter, she was actually delivered by President Carter's mother. President Carter was the first U.S. president to be born in a hospital. And then it turns out his mother, who was a nurse, helped usher Rosalynn into the world. And they met for the first time when she was a baby. And she developed a little crush on him as she grew up. They knew each other a bit because she was very good friends with his sister Ruth. So that famous naval picture we've seen of the two of them on their wedding, she thought he was dapper in his naval suit. But, she wasn't a regular, starry-eyed young lady. She had things to do in the world. And when she met Jimmy Carter, their ideas about service, about commitment to service, about what changes need to be made in the world, I believe that was just so deeply a part of their life and a part of their love.
And Bethany, I do want to talk, about their combined commitment to service, but to focus right now on Rosalynn. She really transformed the role
Oh,
of First Lady. And why was improving mental health services so important to her? Because especially if we think back, this is not a time when mental health was part of the larger societal conversation like it is so much now.
Oh, she was a forerunner in beginning that conversation. So she accompanied President Carter out on the road as he was running for elections. And she heard and listened to people in crisis. And she felt that mental illness should have no stigma attached, that it should be covered with health insurance in the same way that physical illness is. And so while President Carter was in office, she worked upon that behalf. She wasn't just a first lady who came out at Christmas and did the decorations, although she enjoyed doing that as well. She was a political animal and a political beast. She was in the 70s there, the very first lady to carry a briefcase in and around the White House. So this was her home, but this was also a place to make that change. And she got the laws passed for mental health, which eventually got reversed when President Carter lost office. But then again, in 2008, the law that she was working towards for mental health awareness passed, and she was tireless from the very beginning. And as a young woman in Georgia myself, she was my first lady when I was a little girl, and my mother had mental illness, bipolar disorder. And so it's very meaningful today that we honor her work in the world, Rosalynn's work, and just her championing the numerous Americans who deserve dignity and health and respect.
Absolutely. Bethany, I'd like to talk about their marriage because they celebrated 77 years together. The former president, who is 99 years old, he is in hospice himself. He has been in hospice since February, but he is going to be at today's services. He made that more than 100-mile trek to be there in Atlanta.
Yes, I think there was no one quite like the two of them. It's said, too, that they were kind of co-presidents 16 years before the Clintons ever took office. And they were partners and equal partners in all things. That was President Carter's remarks upon her death just recently, that they were equal partners in all things. And he looked at her with respect and compassion. She took his loss even harder than he did when he didn't win his second election. And in their legacy as these great humanitarians with the Carter Center, with Habitat for Humanity, all of their work they did around the world, that inspired Jimmy to keep going after their loss.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.